Black Scully on check. Got CFB Nation theme polo on check. Welcome to another marvelous episode. On today's docket, we're gonna talk about quite a few things today. I think it's interesting that in today's age, I think you have to have the ability to be multifaceted. So today I wanted to do a vertical stream just to be able to please the people that prefer the vertical stream. This is not something I'll be doing all the time. On College Football Showdown, we've agreed to, let's do it. It's a lot more engagement. It's a lot more going on with it. But for this show, I'll do it probably either every Friday or every other Friday. It just depends on, exactly what's going on. But, shout out to everybody who's been following the show. Shout out to everybody if you're new to the show, you've never seen the show. I am the governor. The name of the show is Governor of College Football. And, we got quite a few things to talk about today for our Into the News segment. We got 6 headlines as we always do. And, we'll talk about some of the things that's been going on in the world of college football. And as the season starts, it gets really messy. It really does. But Matt Rule said Dylan Raiola was excellent in Nebraska opener. I thought he was poised. I thought he handled himself well. Now, was I overly impressed with Nebraska? No. I left that game more impressed with Cincinnati. I think that Scott Satterfield and company will have them kind of ready to compete a little bit more this upcoming season. The next story we'll talk about is Mario Cristobal kind of jazzed Paul Feinbaum after Miami went over Notre Dame. He called out Feinbaum for being a no-show for that game. So I know Feinbaum was at the Florida and Miami game a year ago, but he wasn't at this game. You had a couple of choices on Sunday. I think that's the uniqueness of Sunday. I know we would have. I'm not sure if we would have went down to that game over going to the South Carolina Virginia Tech game, but that's where we were at this past Sunday. We got to see that from the sideline. TCU is continuing to troll Belichick and Hudson. They got a viral, photo reaction. We're going to talk about that. Urban Meyer admits he's worried about Alabama. I think everybody is a little bit. I don't think you're being honest if you say to yourself, hey, I'm not worried about Alabama. I think everybody should be a little bit worried about Alabama, to be honest with you, because it's not that they lost. Yes, they lost in Tuscaloosa. College football is king, and, you just don't lose games like that. And to be honest with you, I said this on yesterday's show, I thoroughly believe that, in my estimation, that Florida State looked more like the SEC team, while Bama looked like the ACC team, and that's not the way it's supposed to work. When you go to these games and you see these cross matchups between conferences, SEC teams look the part. Like I was at South Carolina Virginia Tech game. South Carolina looked the part. Their offensive line towered over, Virginia Tech defensive line. Nick Harbor, I mean, that kid was built in a lab. So, when you see stuff like that, it bothers you. So yes, Urban Meyer being, bothered about Alabama, he has the right to be honest with you. Also, College Game Day, they have a guest picker. I love that they do this. And I think Trey Young has been announced as Oklahoma's, I think he's the general manager for the basketball program. And I love what they did on the NFL, on the college football side of things with naming Jim Nagy, somebody who has a plethora of experience of scouting, being able to get people pro ready, to have somebody like that, with his work he's done, as an executive, scout with the NFL and also as the executive director over the Senior Bowl. He's done phenomenal work. And the fact that Oklahoma can tap into somebody like that is pivotal. But we've seen schools go like, Stanford went the Andrew Luck route, but Andrew Luck isn't currently playing in the NFL, and his sole focus will be building the Stanford brand. I guess my confusion with the Trey Young pick is that, hey, college basketball season and the NBA, is during the same time period. So, how will he, do his duties and responsibilities? Now, it'll be easier to do, in the off season of the NBA. I'm sure he's working now. But for College Game Day to tap him as a guest picker, he's boomer sooner through and through. So I think it's important for him to be there. Also, this was weird. This is where I start to get really frustrated with how I feel about people who aren't true to college athletics. Listen, Bill Belichick, you guys got embarrassed Monday night. And while there was a few people in the media, who thought North Carolina would struggle this year, there were some of us who knew that Sonny Dykes and TCU was going to go in there and handle business. And did we expect what we got? It was 100% BTA. No, we didn't expect that at all. But to be honest with you, I knew that TCU would go in there and win that game. I had 100% comfort in that. 100%. Hey, what's happening? Here we go, blaming K Leonard from the Clippers. I don't know what's that about, but either way, that's neither here nor there. Let's get back to what we're talking about. So yeah, Bill Belichick is banning New England Patriots scouts from UNC practice. That is weird to me because, I understand your relationship with North Carolina. With the Patriots may be strained from, your dismissal there. You felt like, hey, all of the work that you've done for them, you shouldn't have been dismissed in the way you were dismissed. And of course, they didn't announce it as he was fired. They announced it as he was resigned. But the fact that you are doing, what you're doing to these players who want to go play at the next level, and you're not allowing scouts at your practice, that's crazy. Also, on today's docket, we want to react to CBS Sports. They do a top 136 team ranking every week. We're not going to react to that. We're just going to react to the top 30. So I think that's pretty cool, and we'll get an opportunity to talk about that. Also, I'm going to tell you guys where I'll be headed this week. I'm actually going to a game tonight, so you guys have an idea what game I'm going to. Typically, I'm flying and I'm going somewhere. I did have an opportunity to go to Chicago. It just didn't make sense for me. So I am going to go see Malik Washington and the Maryland Terps play today. So I'll talk about my expectations for that game. And then we're just going to look at a broad view of week 2 of college football. We're going to look at the 6 games I think that matter to me. To most people who are kind of casual, and there's nothing wrong with being a casual college football fan. There's nothing wrong with it. When you watch it, you start to watch it more in the first couple of weeks because there's no NFL. Now the NFL back, we're going to have a mass exodus, and a lot of people want to be saying, hey, NFL is my wheelhouse, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then you also have the type of team, fans who their teams are not doing well. They want to see who's next, who's some of the players they can go get. There's nothing wrong with that as well. I am a diehard college football fan. I will watch college football over the NFL any day of the week. I really will. If they had college football games on Sunday, which they only do when the NFL isn't playing any games, I will watch those college football games. The only time I watch the NFL mostly is when the Buffalo Bills playing. When the Buffalo Bills playing, cool, I watch the NFL. But other than that, and I'm attentive, but not as attentive as I should be. If I'm traveling and I miss a lot of Saturday night games, I got a 75-inch TV right here. That'll be playing the Bills game, and I'll look at it here and there. But I'm watching highlights and I'm getting ready for the week's show. So, like I said, whatever type of fan you are, and you probably think, wow, week 1 was exciting for college football. They don't have a lot of great games this week. There are some sneaky good games this week. We're going to talk about that as well. Governor of College Football, hashtag go CFB. CFB Nation, your only college football destination. Let's get it.
Governor of College Football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's CJ.
Great defensive minds. They have to be better on that side of the
Alrighty, we are back, having a little bit technical difficulties using a different software. I'm actually using, I don't know how much you guys know about software, but I use something called OBS. I think if you want to get into this content creator space, I think OBS is the best thing you can use. Now, as you start to have guests on your shows, you got a few options. You can use StreamYard. I have StreamYard and I have Restream because I like Restream's ability to use RMTPS. Hopefully I said that correctly. I might have mixed up some of the letters in that acronym, but it allows me to use everything I have in OBS because in OBS I got how I want the scenes transition properly. The fade looks really good. My audio is much better in OBS than it is in here because I do have like media production background, so I do know how to mix vocals and I get my vocals perfect inside of OBS, with EQs, compressors, and limiters and things of that nature. Right now I'm using StreamYard. I'm sorry, not StreamYard, Restream. And like I said, it's a little bit different software, so we're figuring it out. But in order to get my content to new fans, the vertical format, we're going to do this, like I said, either every Friday, every other Friday. I will look at the analytics. I talk to my dog Moon, and we'll kind of figure out what's the best way to do it. But I wanted to have, everybody, give everybody an opportunity to see this show because a lot of people, I prefer the horizontal, the regular 16:9 format, but some people do prefer the 9:16, and you get more viewers. And I think more people are more aligned to comment when it's in this facet. And me and Jalen saw that yesterday when we were live. So much interaction. I mean, I think we had 1,000 views almost immediately after the show. That doesn't happen a lot of times when you were at 16 by 9. So that's why, you got to expand and you got to you got to gauge the game. So Matt Rule, Dylan Raiola was excellent in Nebraska season opener. Nebraska escaped Cincinnati with a 20-17 win. Like I said, it wasn't overwhelmingly impressed with Nebraska. I know we all got high aspirations for Matt Rule in year 3 and what he's able to do as a head coach in year 3. We've seen it at all of his stops. And it starts with the grit, and he wants this team to earn everything. The fact they didn't catch a commercial flight down for this game tells you where they're at mentally. They got on the bus. You know what I'm saying? Like the Spike Lee joint, get on the bus. And he wants to bring back that old, like that grit, that grind, and what it really means to win these type of games. And you saw it in a win against Cincinnati. I don't think things went as scripted as they like. Cincinnati was, like I said, I was impressed with Cincinnati after this one. I saw Cincinnati at Big 12 Media Days. So, overall, like I said, he did his thing. If Matt Rule, I trust Matt Rule's evaluation of quarterbacks. If he said he was excellent, he did everything he needed to do. And him and Dan Key have one hell of a connection. And that's something, as a college football fan, I want to watch over the next few, seasons. And because I remember, I think Dan Key was at Kentucky before he arrived in Lincoln. So that's a nice connection. If I heard them correctly I think that was the last Thursday night game, that they are roommates, if I'm not mistaken. So they had one heck of a connection. I'm interested to see, them build on that. I think Dylan Raiola had 243 yards, 2 touchdowns. Matt Rule praised his poise. You can see his poise when he was a true freshman as he arrived in Lincoln. And to all quarterbacks, right? What means the world to you? As I quote the Cameron song from 1998. And that's why I like to ask a lot of you. Like, it's nothing wrong with the Arch Manning route. I appreciate that route. Go in, understand the system, learn. No, you're gonna wait at least 2 years before you get your turn. Same thing Ty Simpson has done in Tuscaloosa. But I also think that Dylan Raiola, hey, I could have went to Athens. I'd have sat for a few years. Let me go to Lincoln where I play now. We got a comment from T. Thompson, and this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to go this way. I have more hope for the Cornhuskers than I do for my Badgers. It's been a nightmare. The last 3 years, 17 points on Miami of Ohio. It's pathetically terrible. Alrighty, so T. Thompson, great comment. Welcome if this is your first time seeing the show. My name is the Governor, and this show is called The Governor of College Football. So I will say this about Wisconsin. I think that Luke Fickell wanted to come in. I believe in Luke Fickell. I believe in his ability to be a culture builder. But what I think he should have done is got somebody that fits what Wisconsin has done for years. Outstanding offensive line, build that running game, and you build a play action off of the running game. The fact that they went and got Phil Longo, and mind you, T. Thompson, I'm a fan of the air raid. I have my own air raid playbook. It has over 200 plays. As the season progressed, I will add more play to it. Phil Longo had no business being there, and I hate to see my dog Phil Longo. He's struggling at Sam Houston at the moment. But yet, Miami of Ohio is gritty. They've been in that conference championship for the last few seasons. They have a really good team. I knew that matchup was going to be a good matchup. That was one of the matchups that I wanted to go to this past weekend. So, but yeah, I like the fact that you have hope in the Cornhuskers. I believe in Matt Rule year 3. I just think that the rest of that conference is catching up. I want you guys to be so good. I got to see Billy Edwards Jr. a lot. I live in the DMV area. I am credentialed to go to Maryland games, so I got to see him a lot. I like him a lot, and I liked him before he was even a starter when they had Talia, Tua's little brother. They're the strong quarterback. I thought he had spunk. I thought he did a great job in the spring games that I've seen. I've been to a practice or two there as well. So I hope you guys figure it out. It was rough seeing, you guys had Braylon Allen. I remember when he hit the scene as a 17-year-old back, but seeing him in shotgun, seeing him going out like for flat passes, like, bro, put him in the I formation and hand him the ball. Like, play Wisconsin football. But I appreciate your comment. Welcome to the show, brother. Let's get back to the script. So 243 yards for Dylan Raiola, 2 touchdowns. Yes, he was supremely poised. I think Nebraska will be okay, but was I overwhelmingly impressed with Nebraska? No, but it was just the first game of the season. So feel free to comment. Like I said, a lot of times you guys comment. I will post them up on here, and we'll talk about it because I love college football, and I love talking about it. All right, so let's get to the second story. Mario Cristobal jabs Paul Feinbaum after Miami's win over Notre Dame. You know who's been catching a lot of L's this past week, other than myself, because I caught some L's, this past week on week 1. But Paul Feinbaum has caught a lot of L's. He's catching strays. And Cristobal called out Feinbaum for being a no-show at Miami's 27-24 game. I don't know if you guys know how the credentialing process works, but typically you apply for credentials. Somebody like Paul Feinbaum, it's not applying for credentials. Hey, I'm coming to your game, have my credential ready, right? And that's when I felt like it was, right? Have my credential ready. We got East Coast Gridiron. I think this is my guy Dante. Shout out to him. I shouted you out yesterday. I don't know if you see it, but bro, you've been working. I've seen you working. Keep up the great work. Having to do a quarterback like Hunter Watson is hard to manage. Coaches that do find the balance usually have success. They should have beaten Western Kentucky, but that offense was so confused. Great take, man. Shout out to East Coast Gridiron, man. Somebody I really respect. My dog Dante, man. Also, he's from the DMV as well, so I'm gonna have extra respect for him for that. But yeah, Mario Cristobal, takes a jab at Paul Feinbaum for not showing up to the game. I'm not sure where he was at on Sunday. I was at the Virginia Tech South Carolina game. I didn't see him there. There was a lot of people that I did see. Everybody I did see. I try to make sure I shake their hand, have a quick conversation with him. I did not see Paul Feinbaum there, but I mean, he might have been enjoying himself. Might have been hiding. Texas didn't do what he thought they would do in that game. But either way, it's neither here nor there. But I think it's funny that they were having that type of discussion. All right, let's move on to our next into the news topic. Let's talk about TCU and how great their PR team is. Whoever's running their account on Twitter, man, they're God bless them, because they have brought me so much joy. I feel like every season we get different things that it's only a college football thing. Also, I'm about to go ahead and go on my soapbox real quick. Tiki Barber has the audacity. Oh yeah, I you already know, dog. 100, real recognized real. You already. Tiki Barber has the audacity to say that the college football game sucks, right? And I should have a statement pulled up, but his basis on saying that college football sucks is you don't know who's good, you don't know what you're watching. Like, bro, do the research. Like, not knowing who good, it sounds like a personal problem, brother. Like, do the work. Like, I don't know, bro. Like, Tiki Barber be tripping, bro. I don't get him. I was a fan of his and his brothers. Still a fan of both of them. Got to see them at UVA. But it's crazy, man. Oregon new facility is insane. I haven't seen it, but shout out Puff Dutch 77742. I believe this is the first time I've seen you comment on this channel. You may have commented on the show before, but welcome. This is Governor of College Football. I am the Governor of College Football. I need to check that out, bro. But yeah, TCU. Let's get back to TCU, man. They have just been absolutely owning UNC, and they should have been, because I think a lot of people who are like hardcore football fans, like I mentioned my dog East Coast Gridiron, also what we do here at CFB Nation. There's other people who we're talking like you could be in the middle of May when nothing is going on. Hey, talk your talk, T. Thompson. He said Tiki sucks if he thinks that. I love college football. Everyone is grinding for a shot at the league. Thank you, bro. Yeah, I didn't understand what he was talking about. He said the game sucks. It's hard to tell who's going to be good and all. You just have to do your research. Like all season, if you love college football, you've been doing your research trying to figure out who's good. Yeah, first time. Thanks. Love the TCU Snow Room. Yeah. Appreciate it, man. Like I said, thank you all for being here. Truly appreciate it. Like I said, we're live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Typically, it's the horizontal view. Like I said, it's the regular, like you watching the TV, not this view. But this view, I think you get a lot more interaction with this view. College football over NFL. Hey, by far, yes, sir. You, sir. Listen, thank you. Thank you. You know ball. Thank you. I've actually had a segment arguing about college football over the NFL, because a lot of people been saying been taking shots at college football, and I get it as it pertains to the semantics of college football. I know they're going down to one portal. Thank you. All the coaches that I've heard all want to go down to one portal, but yeah, I don't get it when people say you get so much quality games with college football. I just don't get it. T. Thompson. The best part of CFB is the fact that an upset from an underdog can happen in any game, and it's exciting. Absolutely. Like, who had Florida State beating Alabama the way that they beat Alabama on their bingo card? I certainly didn't. I'm like, Thomas Castellanos, you have the audacity to run your mouth, and I had to apologize to Thomas Castellanos. My boy Dante did too. And he's a Florida State fan, right? So you have the audacity to talk trash and say this team is in the same boat without Nick Saban, and then have the audacity to go and prove to everybody that he was right. This team isn't the same without Nick Saban. That was rough. That was rough. But that's the best part about college football. Like what you got week 6 last year, and I hate to make Alabama the butt of my jokes right now, but Vandy beating them, and that scene that we saw in Nashville with Diego Pavia and his family coming on to the field and how lit it was to see that. You just don't get that in any other sport. You don't. Like I attempted to watch the Dallas Cowboys and the Eagles game yesterday. I couldn't. I played 2K. I tried. I really did try. Like I tried. I couldn't. And not to say it was a bad game or anything. I just rather play 2K instead of watching it. It is what it is. But shout out to TCU's, PR team. They kind of trolled UNC with the Belichick Hudson viral photo. We saw Cotland Deary and Kay Bennett reenacting the viral pic of Bill Belichick and girlfriend Jordan Hudson. Question: why was she on the sideline? I'm not sure if she was on the sideline the entire game. Like, it's just something that I haven't seen before. Like Shane Beamer's family is always at the South Carolina games. I saw his family, and I recognized him after watching SEC football and it given Saturday on Netflix. So I recognized his family. They were on the field pregame, and maybe she left pregame, but I saw her talking to him. Like Shane Beamer family was there, and then they went somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? But don't remind me about that game. He messed up PPR fantasy points. Yo, what was up with Lamb? I heard he dropped a few passes. My dad is a Cowboy fan, and he called me this morning. He sounded pretty upset, but it is what it is. But shout out to TCU. I mean, they trolled Miami, and I say Miami, they trolled UNC, and they did it quite a lot. So let's move on to our next story. We'll talk about Urban Meyer. I talk about Urban Meyer quite a lot on the show. I think I talk about probably Steve Spurrier the most because I just don't think you get that type of honesty in this sport anymore because he's very frank, and you might not like what he's going to say, but he's going to say it anyway. But Urban Meyer, he said following, Alabama's stunning 31-17 loss to Florida State, Meyer sounded the alarms on the herd. He pointed to the lack of effort and leadership in the locker room. There was a lack of effort and leadership, but I think that is more of on Kalen DeBoer than anybody else. Why do the players feel this comfortable without giving effort? That is what's weird to me. He said bro was projected to get 25 points and got 18, 3 drop passes. Wow. He probably could have got it without the and you said his points per reception too? Yeah, he probably would have got that 25 if he'd have caught the passes. That's crazy. But yeah, I think everybody's a little bit worried about Alabama. Hopefully they figure it out, or they're going to spoil a lot of our, college football playoff picks. Because I looked at Alabama entering the season. I said Brian Grubb is back, with Kalen DeBoer, not back in Alabama because he's never had Alabama. Well, temporarily before he took the job in Seattle. So I'm like, he's in Tuscaloosa, and that's not a slight at Nick Sheridan. I think Nick Sheridan did the best he could with the skill set that they had on that team a season ago. I'm thinking Ty Simpson looked really good this spring season. I thought he looked good at fall camp, and I'm excited. I'm expecting fireworks when they go into Tallahassee because of bulletin board material. If you guys have been watching football back in the day, what happened to good old bulletin board material, man? Something that your coach was just going to find a way to use, as motivation. That don't happen. That don't happen a lot. Like, I think it was Bill Parcells who would always, kind of tease Lawrence Taylor, like, yeah, a lot of people think that linebacker in New Orleans, I think they were talking about Pat Swilling back in the day, that, hey, a lot of people like him better than they like you. And that was just way that you will motivate him. I feel like we don't have those moments anymore in college football. So Alabama need to find a way to, play with some heart. I use the analogy, where I'm from, you better be ready to fight at any given time. And it's just the way that it works. Some people grow up in areas like that. Some people grow up in areas that isn't like that. But I grew up in an area, you better fight for your respect or you will be taken advantage of your entire life. That's just the way it works. So you better be ready to fight. And Alabama showed no heart that game. I don't know. And then I think it was A.J. McCarron made a great point. He was like, hey, and he was talking about Ryan Williams. He's like, hey, he looks nervous to go across the middle sometimes. And he's like, you guys may not like what I'm saying, but if you go look at the film, you'll see sometimes he's a little scared to go across the middle. And that's a bold statement when you're talking about somebody of, Ryan Williams' caliber. But there were plays, I don't know if it's just week one jitters or what. And then he made the comparison to, Devontae Smith. Like, hey, yeah, he's little of stature too, but he's not afraid to go across the middle. So hopefully Alabama has some heart. But they've been called out by the media. They've been called out by former players. I believe that Greg McElroy, who we interviewed on this show at Big 12 Media Days when we were doing our Media Day cycle, I think he took them completely out of his top 25. And a lot of publications did. CBS Sports, I believe, took them outside of their top 25 too. We gave them the benefit of the doubt because the way that our top 25 is set up, we do poll people within CFB Nation and people who are respected in the media outside of CFB Nation as well. And that's how our poll is curated. But I think our poll best represents, hey, it's one game. Let's figure out the rest of this season. And I think, that's how you build consistency. It's not like that Florida 2022 example I feel like I'm using on every show now, where they were not ranked, beat Utah, went to 12, and I think they lost like either the very next week or the week after. I think we have to be careful with the way we do our polls. Let's get to this next story. So ESPN College Game Day taps Trae Young as guest picker. And I talked about Trae Young. I believe he was named GM of their, because general manager position. I've said it on the show before. I think it's the most lucrative position in all of sports, just because of the nuance to it. There's so much you have to do as a GM, as it pertains to recruiting, as it pertains to fundraising, as it pertains to keeping your boosters happy, your donors happy, and everybody, within the extended family of the program happy. I think that it is an incredibly lucrative position, and depending on who you have as your general manager, I think will certainly help. Like I use Jim Nagy as an example, who's also in Norman, that, hey, he will help people who want to make it to the NFL, especially via the portal. Hey, Jim Nagy, you've seen a lot of talent. Do you think I have NFL talent? Yes, you do have NFL talent, but I need you to work on X, Y, and Z, and we can do that here in Norman. So you are more likely to, and more inclined to get a player to come sign with your program. I miss the Jim Tressel Ohio State days. Man, those teams had so many good players. Yes, they did. And it's crazy what's allowed in today's game wasn't allowed back then, and that's kind of why he was, ran out of town, so to speak. But yeah, Jim Tressel Ohio State days, Michigan wasn't doing what they was doing today back then. They just weren't. I remember the game, was it 2006? Yeah, like November 17th, 18th, 2006. And that was supposed to be slated like this really big game, and Ohio State handled business. So, yeah, that just goes to show, what them Jim Tressel teams did. So, Trae Young is guest picker. We already know what he's going to do for one game. But College Game Day, that atmosphere is going to be electric down in Norman. I'm excited about it. Hopefully, I haven't talked to Boone, our dog Jerry Gray, with CFB Nation, because I wonder if he's going. If he doesn't have to work, I'm sure he's going. I'm sure he's taking his kids as well. But he might have to coach this weekend too, because he does a lot. So hopefully he's able to make it to the game and be able to be in that atmosphere. And I told you guys about the sixth story. Not happy with it at all. You banning college scouts is crazy. I think it is asinine. Like, what are you thinking? I understand your relationship with New England isn't good. You know what I'm saying? But your team looked rough in your debut. You gave up 48 points to TCU, and instead of dollar store Steph Curry, they just call my man great value Steph Curry. That's crazy, dog. That's hilarious. But instead of getting better, you decide to ban New England Patriots scouts from UNC practice. I don't get that. I don't get it at all. I don't think I will ever get it. Like Bill Belichick, you came at the collegiate level. We thought you did a great job on the recruiting trail because, your first year of arrival as a coach at the collegiate level, you're doing a lot of fundraising because that team that is currently your team isn't really your team. That's another coach's team. So the team that he currently has is the team that, Matt Brown attempted to build down in Chapel Hill. So you need to get into the transfer portal and get players that are going to fit what you're trying to do offensively. And I thought he did a good job with that, Gio Lopez. But what happened to him? Didn't he go like almost 3 hours without a completion, bro? I couldn't believe it when I saw that graphic. And that was another thing that gave me a bunch of joy this past week, just laughing at that. I love being on X and seeing some of these trolling tweets, bro. It is phenomenal, dog. And I also love when people are getting dunked on, too. I don't know why I love that, but it's great. All right, so let's go ahead and move right along to Governor Reacts, CBS Sports rankings. This was updated on September 3rd. And let's look at them. We're going to look at their top 30, and we'll take a look at it right now. And we'll move up from 30 to 16 and then, move on again. What we have here. Maurice Clarett could have been an all-time possible great running back in the NFL if he didn't mess up in college. He was so dominant. Yeah, he was kind of like one of a kind. I remember when he first arrived in Columbus, I remember seeing, this is when like Rivals, like the internet, it was just like an explosion with the internet. And I remember going to Rivals because that was like one of the only high school sites. Now you have a myriad of them. And seeing, I'm like, yo, this dude looks like a grown man at 17 years old. But he was electric. And I just think if they were playing players back then, you wouldn't have stories like Maurice Clarett. But Maurice Clarett was a really good running back. I do remember that national championship between Ohio State and Miami. That was electric as well. But yeah, it's just a lot of times you try and feed your family. And a lot of times with these players are getting, if programs were doing it the legal way, it was barely enough to, keep food in your belly, man. So here we go. All right, so let's go to CBS Sports rankings. Let's go from 30 to 16. Let's look at it now. All right. Missouri, they're 1-0. We know they got the border war this weekend. We'll talk about the border war a little bit later, but I'm not mad at that. Why is Louisville 29? I don't know why Louisville is so disrespected. I think anybody who's been following this programming for a minute, they know how I feel about Louisville. They got 8 home games this year, which is incredible. That means only 4 games on the road, and those 4 games on the road are all in the ACC. They're going to win a lot of games. Isaac Brown gets a lot of hype for that team. I love the fact that they went and got Miller Moss via the portal. Also, Duke Watson. Look, if there's a name you want to know of a guy who's not starting in the ACC, but a guy's going to get a lot of production, as that spell back, Duke Watson is one of the names you want to look for. Oklahoma at 28 in CBS Sports Poll. What are they thinking? Better yet, what are they smoking? I guess they're waiting to see. Coming at number 27, we got Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech was one of the teams that I expected to really handle business in Boulder last week. And though they came out with the victory, I wasn't overly impressed with them. I didn't like the fact that they had 3 turnovers early in the game. That's not Brent. Exactly, T. Thompson. I don't blame players for doing what they had to do back then either. Because you weren't afforded a lot of opportunities, to be honest with you. But yeah, Georgia Tech, I wasn't overly happy with 3 turnovers. That's not Brent Key ball, bro. That's not Brent Key ball at all. They like to run the ball, possess the clock. And I thought Colorado missed on a lot of opportunities. Caden Salter is a guy I got to see a lot while he was at Liberty, being in the DMV. I'm not far from Liberty, not too far of a drive. And the fact that he, I don't know, he was trying to be somebody he isn't, man. He was trying to be somebody he isn't. And that was the biggest struggle with me. Take off and run, bro. Yes, we know you can throw the ball, bro. But take off and run. Don't sit here and try to climb the pocket, run. Keep your eyes downfield. That's cool. After the 2.5 progression, take off. That's what you do, bro. And they weren't even spying you. That's the crazy part. Alabama falls outside of the top 25. They're at number 26 in CBS poll. TCU at number 25. They got Abilene Christian up next. I think Alabama plays UNL Monroe, and Georgia Tech got Gardner-Webb. Texas being number 1 was a mistake. Arch isn't right. Got to be shoulder issue watching that game. Yeah, there was a couple throws that just looked weird. Really weird. So I would have to agree with you there. Hopefully he's okay. Sarkisian didn't do a great job either calling plays, but hats off to Matt Patricia. The ability to disguise his coverages was phenomenal. So hats off to him 100%. Alrighty, we got TCU at 25, Auburn at 24, Indiana at 23. Another team I wasn't really impressed with coming out of week 1, but they won the game. That's what's most important. Ole Miss, they play Kentucky this weekend. I don't know if you guys heard, Lane Kiffin had a really funny comment on quarterback Zach Calzada. He called him the Joe Flacco of college football because in college football years, yeah, he's about Joe Flacco's age. And I think that's just pure brilliance. So shout out to Lane Kiffin, man. He's hilarious. I was also looking at some odds that if Kalen DeBoer got fired, who would have the best odds at securing that Alabama job? And I'm not sure what they would do. They would probably try to beg Nick Saban to come out of retirement, but I don't think Mr. Terry is going for that. And I think he also enjoys his job at College Game Day. I think we see he's still edgy. It's still times he looks at Pat McAfee, and I think it's pure comedy. But It is what it is. Haynes King is like Brett Favre of college football, plays reckless and slings it. He is. I like Haynes King. Got the opportunity to see him at the last 3 ACC media days. Yep. So he was there in 2022. I'm sorry, 2023, 2024, 2025. So I seen him at all three of those. So yeah, I like Haynes King game a lot. He really fits the mantra of Georgia Tech. And Georgia Tech, I think my expectations are high for Georgia Tech this season. So I think that's why I'm not so me reacting to their Colorado game, I expected a little bit more out of him. But yes, Haynes King is phenomenal. Huge fan of Haynes King. Alrighty, coming in at number 21, SMU. SMU we got an old Southwest Conference matchup between Baylor and SMU. If you guys have been watching the show, you know I've been singing the praises of Baylor all season. Really disappointed in how they performed defensively this past week. Disappointed in the coaching side, disappointed in the lack of adjustments, disappointed in them not bringing an extra, safety in the box. Offensively, they move the ball up and down the field. They will be okay. So this is a game, I'm tabbing it as a must-win game for Baylor, but SMU comes in at number 21. At number 20, Texas. I believe they play Utah State next. Texas A&M, I'm sorry. And they got a date with Notre Dame a week from tomorrow as well. That's going to be a really good game. Coming at number 19, we got Michigan. They got a date with Oklahoma State this weekend. College game, they will be in attendance. That'll be a good game. Texas Tech coming at number 18. They play Kent State. South Carolina coming in at number 17. They play South Carolina State next. Utah plays Cal Poly. That was also an option of a game I had to go to, but I wasn't going out there unless I went to a couple of games, so I'm not going out there because I don't feel the need to. If I can't go to 2 games, I'm not going way west. But there's a week I do want to go to the West Coast. Coming at number 15, Tennessee. I've given Tennessee a myriad of apologies this past offseason because I was very critical of Tennessee. I was critical of the fact of how they handled the Nico Iamaleava situation because I thought that, hey, you guys knew he was a problem when there was an alleged held out during the college football playoff because he's like, yo, you guys get $20 million, we don't get a piece of that. Get rid of him then. You know what I'm saying? After the game or whatever, and then find your quarterback. But Joey Aguilar looked the part. So my apologies, Tennessee fans. It is what it is. I guess you guys, dang, bro. I bet just got a message from my dog, man. Yeah, we'll do East Coast. If you're still in here, we'll do, bro. My dog Dante, man. Bro's a grinder. So yeah, my apologies, Tennessee. Iowa State coming in number 14. Iowa State is one of those teams that coming into the season earlier on, this is during winter workouts. And every offseason I start assessing everybody's situation. I'm not a guy that follows recruiting heavily. I do got people in my circle that follows recruiting heavily. So if I need to know something or, need to know who I'll watch the main people. Like Chris Henry Jr. is a guy that I'm monitoring right now, but I don't really monitor it heavily because of a lot of the movement, flipping season, all of that stuff. So I don't follow it heavily. Also, the transfer portal. I'll follow it as big names. So, wow, this guy's going there. But I don't follow it heavily. I just follow CFB Nation on Twitter, at CFB Nation. Nino's going to give you every move. So you just, if you want to keep up with that, you just get every move. I'm the type of guy, let me see what the roster looks like now. Update the roster. Let me see what it look like now. Let me see some of these pieces that they have in place. And let's see how good this program could be and how it starts to shape up. And then you had the late window portal, and that brought a bunch of chaos. Now we're down to one portal. But that's how I like to look at teams. And coming into the season, I looked at the Big 12, knowing this current Big 12, the current model. With Oklahoma and Texas gone, you may get a different conference winner every year in the Big 12. Like moving forward for at least the next decade or so, depending on, how much this conference decides to expand, because I believe that's just the way the conference is. I think if you look at the last 7 years of the sport, the conference with the closest games that came down, late in the fourth quarter has been the Big 12. Big 12 has exciting games. I think Big 12 has the best quarterbacks in the country. Now, people in the Big 10 may not be happy with that. People in the SEC may not be happy with that. But I think if you look at the overall quarterback depth in the Big 12, we can name 6 or 7 names right now, maybe even 10 that, who can compete with a Devin Dampier. Did you see his performance this past week versus UCLA? What about Sawyer Robinson? Yes, they lost to Auburn, but he was slinging it. Rocco Beckers looked really good this year, even though Kansas State is getting on my nerves. Avery Johnson is still somebody you know what I'm saying, you got to watch. Kaden Salter wasn't impressive this past week, but I guarantee he gives you a couple moments where he's super impressive. Did you see Byrum Morton this past week for Texas Tech? These teams have, this conference has a myriad of high quality quarterbacks. So when I look at this conference, I say, I don't know who's going to win it year in, year out. Let's do our research. So I was leaning Iowa State, and I'm like, okay, I like the kid Carson Hansen, Rocco Beck. I trust him at quarterback. I trust what, I was trying to do as a program. But then I started to evaluate Baylor. I'm like, alrighty, Baylor's starting to check a lot of boxes for me. Do they have a sound running game? Yes, I hate the fact that Pendergrass was hurt this past year. I really do. So it's, it's a lot of things where I start to evaluate, what I'm looking at. T. Thompson, man, shout out to you, brother. Like I said, if you watching on the YouTube side or if you watching on Twitter and you feel like on Twitter I'm not paying attention to your comments, at Governor College Football on YouTube, you comment, I'll react to it. I want to see Illinois improving on last year. I think they can be the dark horse in the Big Ten. Hey, sir, you are officially a 1%er. Shout out to T. Thompson. I'm calling T. Thompson and naming T. Thompson a 1%er. T. Thompson, fun fact, I have Illinois on my college football playoff. I love what Brett Bielema and company is doing. They have a huge matchup this week versus Duke. That's a sneaky good game. Arguably can be game of the week. But Luke Altmaier is real deal. I like the kid Hudson Clement that they got over from West Virginia. Didn't do much in their first game, but I think they'll get on the same page. But Luke Altmaier had like 3 clutch moments last year. And when you start to look at quarterbacks, who are returning from last season and who had more clutch moments, can we name a quarterback that had more clutch moments than Luke Altmaier last year? We're talking about on the road. Dagger throws he's been able to make. So great take, T. Thompson. You are officially a 1%er. Shout out to you, brother. All right, so we named CBS Sports named Iowa State at 14. I was kind of giving you guys added insight on my overall thoughts about Iowa State. I do like them a lot as a program, and I think they're headed in the right direction. I really do. Florida State coming in at number 13. I think I saw Pate State. Shout out to Josh Pate, man. I think he had them at like number 7. So Florida State, very impressive. Now, and the question I ask is, how does this shake up the ACC? Because we didn't know how to calibrate Florida State. We knew that they did. In 2023, they were phenomenal. Last year, abysmal. So, which one are we going to get this year? But, Mike Norvell, I don't think he's playing games this offseason. I think he probably worked them harder than he ever has. And I was a huge Alex Atkins fan. I really was. I think he's now with LSU in some fashion, maybe offensive line coach or tight ends coach, something like that. My apologies, Alex Atkins, if I got that wrong. But Gus Malzahn, I like the way they look. Wisconsin messed up letting him go as head coach. Still mad about that. Yeah, Brett Bielema, I'm a huge fan of his. I like his moxie. That game, I forgot what it was. It may have been a Cheez-Its Bowl a season ago when they played South Carolina and they were able to use the rule in their favor and really slow down South Carolina's attack, and Shane Beamer was lit. He wanted to fight Brett Bielema after that game. So, yes, I love what Illinois brings to the table. Their offensive coordinator, Barry Lundy Jr., is a guy I trust as well. And that guy, Gabe Yakas, 2 sacks already heading into the season. I think we start looking at, people who are going to climb up the draft boards, for the upcoming NFL draft. Watch out for Gabe Yakas. 2 sacks already to start the season. That kid is incredible. And I think he's one of those tweeners too. Can he be a 4-3 edge? We'll have to see, but he definitely could be a 3-4 outside, linebacker pass rusher for sure. Coming in at number 9, Clemson. Clemson is my national champion pick. So, of course, I watched that game, and I watched that game with a great deal of frustration. I thought they played phenomenally in the first half. Thought both defenses look outstanding. I thought they really did. But to me, it was the lack of adjustments made, and I've given Garrett Riley such high praise this offseason. I've given him such high praise. And it honestly was a struggle for me to watch that second half. Watch LSU say, hey, we know your wide receivers are good, but we don't believe your wide receivers can beat our corners. We're going to man up and we're going to spy. Cade Klubnik ain't running nowhere. We're not having another Pitt moment when, Cade broke for like 50 yards last season. So kudos to LSU. And there were some interesting quotes this past week, too. I think a lot of people ain't see, but Brian Kelly, so Dabo Swinney, I thought, had a great quote, and I agree with him. He was pretty much saying what I said. He said, it's week 1, and for grading teams, I give LSU a 65, and I give us a 58. And Brian Kelly did not like that quote. He said, I thought we dominated them in the second half, or Dabo didn't see the second half, which might be the case. He might not wanted to see the second half. Brian, who is this Brian Kelly, bro? When did Brian Kelly turn gangster, dog? I like this Brian Kelly. You know what I'm saying? Let me go to the next joint so y'all can see who's in the top 10. Hey, brother, I appreciate that. T Thompson always wanted to say for my first time viewing you and the content you make. I appreciate your vibe and your takes and fast knowledge of college football. You deserve a lot more viewership and prosperous career in this. I appreciate that, brother. I truly do. And that's why it's important. Like I said, I prefer to do the horizontal view, but going vertical. And it's something that my boy Dante does a lot too. It brings him more viewership, at least more, different viewership. People are concerned with his size. Those edge, weak side backers guys are getting smaller in the league. He'll fit right in. I like that take, Dante. I didn't know you were by yourself, brother. If you need any help, let me know. So, dang, that's crazy, man. So let's finish up and round out this top 10. But yeah, Brian Kelly, I ain't never seen Brian Kelly that spicy, bro. I'm like, Brian Kelly got a little thug in him, man. So Notre Dame at number 8 in CBS top 30 poll. I think they're off this week. CJ Card didn't impress me in the first half. Played a little bit better in the second half. I think Notre Dame will be okay. They'll be okay. They'll figure some things out. But the thing is with Notre Dame, they have such little, wiggle room for error because they don't play in the conference championship. So they got to be extremely careful. And they got to put on. They got to win a lot of games. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Texas coming in at number 7. Was impressed with their defense. Wasn't impressed with Steve Sarkisian. I deem Steve Sarkisian as one of the best play callers in all the sport. So if he said and he complimented how well, Matt Patricia was able to hide his coverages and disguise his coverages, kudos to Matt Patricia, because I thought there's nuance to college football. And one of the examples I always make is the hashes. The hashes are wider in college football. So if you're on the short side of the field and you have a bunch to the wide side of the field and you're playing a zone and you're trying to cover a flood concept, there's more space to cover. So shout out to Matt Patricia. If he has Steve's, Sarkisian seeing ghosts, I'm sure Arch Manning was seeing ghosts, but they'll improve. Yeah, I agree, Dante. Yes, CJ Carr had great moments. He'll continue to improve. Yeah, I like CJ Carr. I wasn't sure who should have won a job because some of the intel that I was getting and what I was hearing from people like Chip Patterson was that, hey, Kenny Mensah should have won the job. That's what I heard some people saying. They would, CJ Carr was winning in at first, but towards the end of fall camp, that Kenny Mensah had started to separate himself. So, some people were surprised, but yeah, CJ Carr looked really good. And let's round out the rest of this top 30 by CBS Sports. We got Oregon at number 6 versus Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is 28.5-point dogs. As long as CJ Carr doesn't turn into Kaiser and get drafted by the Browns, he'll be okay. Bruh. Yo, what's up with Notre Dame quarterbacks getting drafted by the Browns? All right. Miami at number 5. Really impressed with Miami. Like I said, when I started to look at the ACC, I thought, hey, it's Clemson here, everybody else here. That's what my thought process was. And I would say I was going to take Louisville second, but now we got to respect Florida State. Miami was impressive in their first victory. Do I trust Cristobal? No, I don't. And I guess that's something that I have to deal with, but I don't trust Mario Cristobal. I've just seen too many times where they had opportunities to seal the deal and it just didn't happen. And I'm not even talking about moments like the Georgia Tech gaffe, because he had another similar moment to that during his tenure in Oregon as well. I forgot what game it was. It's just also, winning games like, hey, we win this, we're in the, they would have been an ACC championship last year if they handled business versus Syracuse last year. They didn't handle business. That's what I'm talking about as well. Not just the gaffes and bad time management. I'm also talking about, let's go handle business. We control our own destiny, and that didn't happen. Penn State coming in at number 3, one of the best constructed rosters in all of college football. Same thing with LSU, who's coming in at number 2. Ohio State should be 1. They beat the number 1 ranked team, preseason number 1 ranked team. And, I guess we got to just, it is what it is with that. So we're going to move on, look at some of the games of the week that I deemed the game of the week. Also, I do have an announcement that I am going to this. Hey, Dante, you going to this Maryland game tonight, man? I'm going to this Maryland game tonight. They play NIU. Do your upset winner alert this week. Since we speaking on upset alert, I've been brewing this upset alert in my mind for a week. Now I'm going to say it aloud. I'm not sure if I want to confirm it yet, but I believe that Arizona State is on upset alert heading to Starkville. They had a close matchup a year ago. This game is in Starkville, I believe. Watch out for this game. If there's a game that can shake the college football world this year, because Arizona State has been really good, it could be that game. But Duke upset. I'm not mad at it, bro. I'm a huge Manny Diaz fan. He didn't get enough credit for his first year, the job he did his first year in Durham a season ago. I always wanted to go to Miami to Duke. You always went. Yes, I think Josh Pate has said a stat that I wasn't aware of. Florida State, Miami, and Florida all in AP poll top 25 since 2006. Isn't that hard to believe? It's been almost 19 years since all three of those teams were, at the same time, AP poll top 25. That's impressive. Yeah, me too. It's just better when Miami is good. I agree with that 100%, brother. But yeah, so the game I'm going to this week, last week I went to a really big game, went to South Carolina and Virginia Tech game, got to see that game from the field, going to Maryland game. I want to see this kid, bro, because Florida Atlantic I've been really high on. I got to spend a lot of time with that program. I was down at their fall camp, got to be in some practices. I've talked to Zach Kitley quite a bit, one of the greatest offensive minds in college football. They turned the ball over so much last week. They really did. Cadenville Camp, guy I was high on heading into the season. I'm still high on him. 4 turnovers was crazy. But the Shula Bowl is next week, and I think that's where I want to go. I was telling Moon, and we do have meetings set up with the American. Next year, I may just go on a straight G. I want to start calling it the G6 now because the Pac-12 will be a part of it next season. I think I want to go on an all G6 tour next year. I really think I do. Like, I enjoy being at big games, don't get me wrong, but it's something special about being in somebody's weird town, right? And it's a small crowd. It's an intimate setting. And a lot of times those G5 schools, the coverage that they allow you to do is unparalleled. Like, we're going to a San Jose State this game. They're going to give us the ability to go live from the stadium right up to kickoff. Like, I can't wait to do that. I just can't. So, yeah, I'm going to go see this kid play. Really impressive his game last week. I didn't know how they would fare because I think Mike Loxley is on the hot seat, to be honest with you. Coach that I respect a lot, too. But, yes, I'm going to go see Maryland and IU tonight. Traffic is terrible on Fridays. If you're in the DMV, you already know traffic is terrible on Fridays. So I got to leave super early to get up there. But I'm excited for the game. If this game does get out of hand, I'm not sure if it will, but if it does, I'll probably leave a little bit early to get back here. Not going to a game tomorrow, which has its benefits because, I travel a lot. But not going to a game tomorrow, I get to watch games, I get to work on the website with Moon. It'll be a fun time. Yeah, Manny did get done wrong in Miami. I agree with that, too. Oh, God. Penn State, another 10-11-1 season, bounced out of the playoffs. So tired of seeing it. And that's hilarious, dog. USF might be something to worry about this year with that upset they pulled off. Yes, I agree with you. That they almost helped me win my parlay, but the WNBA messed it up. But yeah, where I'm going tonight, Governor Travels. We're headed to College Park, a place that, so affectionate. And then let me tell you something, bro. The food that they have, the media gets catered Qdoba when you go there. So I'm going to kill some Qdoba when I get there, bro. I can't wait. All right, so let's look at some of these games this week. Some of the best games I think to watch. I think a lot of people kind of look at what we have going on this weekend, and because week 1 was so dope, and we're U of M complicated to get between 5 neighborhoods. LOL. Yeah, bro. As long as you stay from Toledo and the Rockets, you will have a fun time. Hey, man, speaking of Moon, I was just talking about Moon, man. Shout out to my dog, Byrum Brown and GOAT. My dog, World of Moon, man. Can't wait until he's able to go back live again. Moon does a lot of work. He does a lot of gritty work for CFB Nation. Him and Nino both do. And we wouldn't be where we are today without either of them. But yeah, the CFBNation.com. If you want to see the best looking college football website there is, go to the CFBNation.com. My boy Moon does a lot of great work with us. So I'm happy to be home tomorrow. Get to watch a lot of games tomorrow. I'm going to help my boy Moon with the articles and get these articles out. And then, I got to talk to my dog Dante after this stream, man. We got to do some content upcoming this next week, bro. Just let me know what you need help with, bro. For real. All right, so let's look at some of these marquee matchups that I am super excited for heading into the next week. At the wrong window open the right one. But we do got the Cy-Hole game this week. I mean, that's college football to me. And this is no slight at Michigan or Oklahoma. Huge fan of Oklahoma. You know what I'm saying? I'm not an Oklahoma fan, but huge fan of their program. Actually, college football 26. I am in a team dynasty. It's like 26 users in it. 1 year, 1 championship. I'm gonna get me another one of these, and I'm gonna retire. It's 2K time, right? But yeah, let's get into some of these games to watch this week. So Baylor versus SMU. This is an old Southwestern Conference. It's an old matchup between these two teams, and Baylor has dominated. I believe they won like the last 13 games, but just think about the death penalty. That's why they dominated this game. SMU is going to want to come in here and put hands and feet on Baylor, I'm telling you. But this is a must-win game for Baylor. This is one of those CW network games, so I'm interested to see how they call the game, how they announce the game. Hopefully it's not one of those games I'm going to have up, because I normally watch like 3 games at once, so hopefully it's not one of those games I have up and I got to mute it because I don't like the way it sounds. So really good game. I expect David Renner to make the adjustments that they made because they got another, outstanding, dual threat quarterback in Kevin Jennings, and the way that Rat Lashley and company run that RPO there, it's gonna be something to watch. Give me Baylor in this game though. It's gonna be a damn good game. Give me Baylor and Sawyer Robinson, bro. He was slinging it last week. I know he lost, but I was happy with his performance. Michael Trigg dropped a few passes, but he brung it together later in that game. But I was disappointed. Illinois, the Fighting Illini of the great city of Champaign. They travel to Durham to play Duke. That game is also at 12 o'clock tomorrow. We got 3 great games at 12 p.m. tomorrow. 12 p.m. tomorrow is the time slot. Baylor, SMU, Illinois, Duke, Iowa versus Iowa State. I get to be home, bro. I wish I had a moon. They need to have a slutty vegan. I think they got one in Baltimore. I need one out here. I really do need one out here. I'll be at Georgia State tomorrow from Memphis. Excited to get you get to go. Yeah, I get to go to College Park today, bro. I would have I should have told you get me a credential for Georgia State. I'd have flew down there, brother. But I am excited to be home. You know what I'm saying? Watching college football. I'm gonna cook me some good food tomorrow, man. I can't wait, bro. Baylor got to lean on the run game, play more sound deep. Yeah, they struggled to run the ball, but Bryce Washington wasn't healthy. That game. He did have a big run that was called back that game. And also Pendergrass, you could tell that they were missing him. So the third game, we get the Cy-Hawk game. We get Iowa Hawkeyes versus Iowa State Cyclones. This game is I think 1 year, me and my boy Jalen was laughing at it. 1 year, somebody won this game 18-17. Like, bro, 6 field goals up. That's crazy. 18-17 was the winner of this game. This game is always going to be close. If this game was in Iowa City, I would favor Iowa, even though they didn't look impressive in week 1. But this game is in Ames. Give me Rocco Beck and company. Give me them to win that game. The next game, and these are the Big 6, I think, games that everybody should be watching this week. We got Ole Miss versus Kentucky. Now, I know Kentucky, they just haven't been as good as they were a few seasons ago. Right, Mark Stoops, I don't think he's on the chopping block because historically this has been a blue blood basketball program. They've been trying to figure it out on the football side of things. Losing Vince Mauro, who's now the general manager over at Louisville, is going to hurt this team, I think, a bit. And I told you guys about Lane Kiffin comment. He commented to him. He gave him a compliment sandwich. Like he said something good about him and he sneak dissed him at the same time. He said he's really good, but he's the Joe Flacco of college football, bro. Yeah, South Calzada has been playing college football for a very long time. I was surprised when I was roster hunting on Our Lads. I think this is probably 3 or 4 months ago. I'm like, yo, Zach Calzada's still playing college football. Hey, no diss, bro. I'm just saying. And then we got the border war. We got Kansas versus Missouri. And, when you start to look at, the new SEC format, we're going to play the 9-game home schedule. And you start to look at some of these series that used to matter so much to us. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't get a battle on this year, but they have to play that one non-power game. Kansas, the border war would be a great, team for them to play. They can also do Illinois because they have, it's not a rival game, but it's a rival game too. So that could be a game. But yeah, I would love to see the border war every year. Let's make that happen. If that's your non-power game that you have to, your power conference game for that 10th game you got to schedule, schedule that. Just like Oklahoma State and Oklahoma should be a no-brainer. Bedlam should be that 10th game. Right? Make no mistake about it. So Ole Miss, Kentucky. I was high on Ole Miss last year. Ole Miss was my favorite to win a national championship a season ago. I love everything that Ole Miss had to offer last year. They just lost some games they shouldn't have lost. Kentucky was one of those games that they lost last year. Also, Florida had opportunity. They had opportunities to be in the college football playoff, and that's why when Lane Kiffin was complaining on X, people like Joe Clark didn't want to hear it, bro. You had opportunities, win the games you were supposed to win. So Who wins this game? I think Ole Miss. I think they're going to want revenge for the game last season. And that kid Simmons, at quarterback, I think he's a treasure to watch. But Zach Calzada not going to like what Lane Kiffin had to say. Yeah, you complimenting me, but you sneak diss me at the same time. I ain't trying to hear it. So we talked about the border war. Jalen Daniels, bro. I thought that Fresno State had a chance in week 0 to really give Kansas a run for their money. They did not happen. Kansas looked really good. Lance Leopold said this was the easiest fall camp he's ever been a part of. So Kansas, I don't want to say they for real. They got to stay healthy. But they'll be in the thick of things for the Big 12. Upset alert. There's a team I'm putting on upset alert. I'm going to get to you guys' comments in a second. Arizona State is traveling to Starkville. I am officially putting Arizona State on upset alert. Bro, I don't know if Kansas is getting enough love. Yeah, that's fact. I love the Jayhawks upset. Take them over a point scored. My boy East Coast agreed with you. Parker Navarro was the best quarterback of the week to me. Yes, I bet Nino shares those same sentiments. Him and D-Now was showing a lot of Parker Navarro love. But this has been a fun episode. I hope you all do a few things this weekend. One, spend some time with family. Tell your family you love them if you get an opportunity to. Please do. Also, spend some time to yourself. Do something for at least 2 hours this weekend that you really want to do. Like, really spend time working on yourself. And also watch college football. Enjoy it. The NFL's back. I know a lot of you are excited to see that. I know my boy Moon is excited for the NFL because he's going to make some money off of it, playing in parlays. I truly appreciate each and everybody that, stopped through here, showed some love, commented for this vertical episode of Governor of College Football. And it's something you guys want to see more often, let me know. You guys can DM me. You can say it in the comment section. Hey, I can do it once a week. I'm going to talk about it with Moon, maybe on Fridays. Hey, maybe we can up it to twice a week. Also, my boy Dante, I'm going to reach out to you after this show. I didn't know the circumstances were the circumstances, bro, but I truly respect your grind, brother. You out here working, and I see it, bro. And that's why, I'm saying, it's good to see people work, bro, 100%. But Moon said Kansas put up 40 points in both games. Missouri just got down to 60, yeah. Would you say you like the Red River Rivalry a lot? I would love to go there and see one of those. So February, your relationship with your notebook will be undefeated. Hey, facts, bro. Hey, trust me, we get it. Like, this is the easiest time if you're a college football content creator, and I know my boy East Coast Gridiron. Make sure you guys follow him. I think it's on Twitter at East Coast Gridiron. He covers the NFL and covers the collegiate level, does shorts. He will go live playing college football 26 sometimes. He will end up at somebody's training camp. He will end up at somebody's game. Like, this dude does it all. He does all of his graphics, his camera, one of the best cameras I've seen in this industry. I respect what he does with his overlays and everything else. Like I said, that's why I show love, because we know, bro, like Moon for, World of CFB, I always commend him because he talks about everybody. But he does all the production himself. For this show, I do all of the production myself, and I respect the grind, bro. For real. Moon, I appreciate it. The vertical hit, and I appreciate it, bro. Yes. We did some numbers today on YouTube, and it's great to see. That's why I said on CFB Nation, College Football Showdown, that's why we went vertical, bro. And then to be able to post the comments and interact, because when I do my main show, I don't really see the comments because I'm in OBS. I'm looking at OBS, and I'm trying to get to my next scene and stuff. I got my notes. I can minimize my notes. I can pull your comments up, and then it can be a conversation. Also, I want to do a mailbag episode soon. Of course, it will be in this vertical format. So y'all just want to talk college football. Let's talk college football. But I am live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you guys, hey, man, whatever y'all want to talk about, let me know. I appreciate each and every one of you. As I always like to say, there are no more victories in the sport that survive in advance. That's why college football has the greatest regular season. And until next time, y'all take care. Don't be surprised if I go live tomorrow. Just don't be surprised. It'll be a surprise, but no, don't be surprised, all right? You all take care.
Governor of college football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's CJ on
defensive
that track.
minds. They have to be better on that side of